You've tuned into Bellingham Podcast Media Tech for the week of March 21st, 2016, Episode 4. I'm AJ Barcet.
And I'm Chris Powell. On this episode, AJ expands our horizons about that thing we strap onto our wrists every day. I'll share one of my favorite spots to spend time in Fairhaven. Here's a hint, it's been around for 36 years. And we both share ways to manage our information diet. All that and listener voicemail on BPM Tech.
Holy moly, that sounded legit.
We're too legit to quit, as always.
Dude, I love it. I mean, I think we've got the info or the intro down.
Well, the hours of practice to get that line said succinctly paid off.
With those sibilant sounds.
Sibilant sounds, that's right.
So as you're listening to this, I would encourage everybody to take a look at our website, BellinghamPodcast.com. You may find a very special, one-of-a-kind video of how we kickstart BPM. And if you don't see us there, check us out on. Well, actually, don't check us out. I'll probably post it to my Facebook page because we don't have a Facebook page. Because you're not on Facebook.
I'm actually one of the 9 people in this world that do not have a Facebook account. That's correct.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, stay that way. So stay tuned. You'll see a special sneak video of BPM Tech live. How's your week been, Chris?
Mercifully, it's over, and been enjoying the weekend. But there's never a dull moment in this day and age, and it's always nice to carve out a little bit of time to talk about whatever the heck we feel like,
or at least try to. Anyway, where are we?
We are at the Lettered Streets Coffeehouse, just outside downtown Bellingham. For those of you playing at home on Google Maps, it's 1001 Dupont Street. Great location. We're annoying the people around us in the coffee house by having this podcast recorded live.
Well, hopefully it's not too much of an it's not interfering, I hope.
Hopefully not.
Good coffee, good ambience.
Yes.
I mean, we're not that loud. Okay, maybe I am.
We could be, but anyway, great location, independent coffee house, locally roasted fair trade coffee and tea, local pastries from the Grace Cafe, vegan and gluten-free options. It's the essence of community here in Bellingham. Plus, they have free Wi-Fi.
Ooh, I'm always a fan of the free Wi-Fi.
I am a fan of that, most definitely. So anyway, AJ, what the heck are you drinking?
Well, fun fact, out of all the coffee houses in all of Bellingham, I've never been here.
Well, welcome to the Lettered Streets Coffeehouse.
I know, I like it. I love the atmosphere. I love the vibe. I love the colors. I love the paint. It's great.
For those of you at home, it's a pastel yellow type with original artwork adorning the walls and a big Horkin window.
I like the big Horkin window.
That's right. Exactly.
Is Horkin even a word? So I'm having just a simple latte, 16 ounces, because I've been working on the house all weekend.
Of course, and you deserve that.
Yes, I need some caffeination in my life. What are you drinking?
I have realized that when I drink coffee, it makes me angry.
What?
And I don't want to do that.
No. Happy Chris. Happy Chris.
I know. We want happy. And so as a result, I choose to get an Italian soda. Raspberry Italian soda, no cream or whipped cream because I don't roll like that.
Dude, okay, that's cool. So you're having a very neat Italian soda.
Exactly, that's right.
What would we say? A very chic Italian soda.
If you want to call it that way, that's totally fine. But anyway, so last episode that we had, you made a comment about BazelWorld,
yes,
the big old watch convention.
Oh, yes.
And that's in Germany, I think, right?
No, Switzerland.
Switzerland. Basel, Switzerland. So how did that, where'd you learn up?
Well, actually, I learned a lot. Much more than probably any of these tech conferences that are going on lately.
Yeah.
As predicted, actually, before this show even started, Frederique Constant, which is the company that I mentioned that I watch often, they actually had a leak. And I know, funny, right? Like, we think leaks in the tech industry. But Frederique Constant had an announcement of a all in-house caliber, which is the movement, the thing that actually makes the clock tick, right? They made their own perpetual calendar, meaning the entire watch, once you set it, you forget it. It even accounts for leap year.
That's always helpful.
Leap year. It will, once you set it, it will count the days, the weeks, the months, the years, and it does it all sans a battery.
So how does it work? Is it kinetic?
It's kinetic.
Kinetic.
Yep.
Wow.
So it's an automatic watch. So as you move, there's a little tumbler in it that kind of oscillates back and forth, and it winds the mainspring. But what's really cool is that once you set it, you don't ever have to worry about, do I have to account for 28 days in a year, or is it a leap year? It does it all for you.
That's always helpful.
Yeah, and here's the striking price, which is probably going to be a bit of a shock. It comes in at $8,000.
Only $8,000.
Only $8,000, which again, in Swissville, for a perpetual calendar, dirt cheap. Typically speaking, if you're looking at a perpetual calendar watch, you're looking at $20,000.
Okay.
So for them to come in and basically just undercut the market with an in-house, there's a lot of conglomerate movement makers in Switzerland, and they're making it themselves. It's very impressive.
So the fact that they're doing that in-house eliminates a lot of the additional supplies. They get to control the workflow, the supply chain, and only for the price of an SUV, used SUV right now.
A used SUV, yeah, I know. Like I said, but again, it's interesting. And also, in that same vein, Tag Heuer had an announcement of they're going to try to control it's not just about the movements, but also trying to get a hold of the the materials and not sourcing out anything. Tag Heuer made an announcement that they're going to try to make everything branded Tag Heuer. So everything right down the chain, they're going to try to make, mill, engineer in-house.
I think that seems to be a trend nowadays where companies are building from within and creating their own mechanism process.
Right, and it doesn't matter if it's tech or if it's watches or whatever. It's interesting that the luxury watch market, and even the spokesperson for Tag Heuer even said, like, this is not going to happen in a month or a year. This is a 10-year plan for the company. But when they achieve it, everything soup to nuts. It'd be like if Apple said, we're going to make the iPhone in Cupertino, California, soup to nuts. Doesn't happen. They source it to Foxconn in China, and they assemble it in China, and then they design it in Cupertino. But for the watch industry, they're trying to take everything in-house, right down to materials if they can. Interesting movement.
Well, it's for the next 10 years. We'll stay tuned for that.
Yeah. It's a very slow timing of that was lame. That was
bad,
lame.
dude.
That was bad. I'm tired. What can I say, Chris?
It's all right. It's been a long weekend. That's all right. So anyway, we do have a contrast in styles though regarding watches, and unfortunately, I'm a bit of a newbie when it comes to this, so I'm listening and paying attention to you as you're describing this, genuinely. But a lot of the stuff kind of goes over my head. And that's good because now I get to expand my horizons on something new.
Yeah. So let's compare and contrast our styles. So what are you are a watch wearer? I mean,
I do wear a watch.
You took the first step.
Yes.
Okay,
well, since I was 6. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you are a time lord. Okay. You're just like the doctor. Okay.
Fair enough.
I don't. Your SUV's kind of even bluish, so you actually fit the bill. What are you wearing, Chris?
So I am I'm a fairly big fella, and I'm a tall fella, and I choose to wear. I just have this double take whenever I see a big watch, and so I'm a fan of the big watch company. So I did a little bit of research, and I also like black, and so Fossil happens to make a big watch in black. I'm a fan of Fossil. It just works, and it's a 50 millimeter case size, so that's XXL. And this is actually a Fossil Nate, but the mindset that I have is I have twins. So I have two watches, same brand, and one has a white face, one has a black face.
Oh, cool.
And both have black bands because most of my wardrobe is black, and so I want to be able to accessorize successfully.
I see. For those playing at home, Mr. Powell is wearing a black Fitbit, a black Fossil watch, a black shirt with a gray Henley style undershirt underneath. Yes, you are very much in the monochrome spectrum.
Well, that's just how I roll. But and actually on the video or some of the photos that might show up, you'll see what I'm rolling with. My accessories and things like that. But I'm a fan of not a lot of stuff. I don't really have the extensive watch collection. Like today's Tuesday, I'm going to wear this one, which speaks to me this way. It's like I alternate back and forth whenever I feel like it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm very much the same way. I'm still wearing my Frederique Constant.
Yes.
It is a FC330rm. Which is very, very geek speak for 330 is the movement. It's a Frederique Constant movement.
Tell me about the 330. What does that mean?
So 330 is the actual, every watch has a movement, and that's the thing that actually makes the thing tick. And the company brands it off of a caliber number. And so mine is a 330 caliber. FC stands for Frederique Constant. the actual movement isn't made by Frederique Constant. It's actually part of that conglomerate group called ETA. And what it is it's a think of it as if if there was just a company that made engines for all cars. Okay, so like if you bought a Ford or a Chevy or a Dodge, they all had the same 330 engine in it.
Got it.
From ETA.
Okay.
And so that's what the Swiss did after the quartz crisis, when quartz movement started coming in and mechanical watches were kind of seen as this, old-timey thing, and quartz is way new. Hey, we've heard this before. It's kind of like smartwatches right now, actually.
Exactly.
Those dumb watches, that's kind of last year. Smartwatches, man. So anyway, it's an FC330rm. RM stands for the Runabout Edition. My watch is one of 1,888 that exist. Okay. It's a limited edition. And it's a tribute watch to the runabout races of Italy. Those wooden boats, kind of the ones like you saw in the Italian Job. They tried to steal the gold.
Yes, know that movie very well.
That is a runabout. And so that's the watch that I have. But I also have an Ingersoll, and we'll probably talk about the other watches when we swap wardrobes for different shows.
Oh, sounds good. I'll wear my other black outfit for the next episode.
Is that the blacker black or the grayer black?
This is the black out.
Okay,
yes.
Okay.
This is the assassin black outfit.
I like that.
I could go with the stealth ninja black outfit, or I could go with the simple noir wardrobe. But it depends on the mood I'm in.
Oh, we're going multicultural, very French noir.
That's right.
But in the show notes, I'm going to put in a whole bunch of links if anybody else is interested in just watches and this whole Swiss watch, and if people are curious about why would anybody spend a small SUV for something to wear on their wrist. There's a whole bunch of great resources online, and I frequent them a lot. There's a lot of blogs. And it's not a matter of who would do that. I mean, I could say the same thing about who would spend $20,000 on an Apple edition Apple iWatch or Apple Watch.
If that appeals to people and that speaks to them, then all for it.
Yeah.
But what blogs do you normally follow?
A blog to watch is one that I follow a lot. Time and Tide and Hodinkee.
Oh, Hodinkee, yes.
Hodinkee.
I've checked their site out a couple times.
Yeah, I love the editor of Hodinkee. I think he's just spot on, total dapper fellow, and also the very, very knowledgeable in the history of watches. And everything that you can watch there, he covers everything as if you are a newbie. I mean, if you don't understand anything, they have reference links of Watch 101, basically, if you don't understand. It's great.
Definitely see a parallel with how I approach technology, explaining it like someone's not really up to speed on all the tech terms. He breaks it down, it sounds like, and really helps out for a newbie like me that may not know all of the inner workings of watches and such. Good stuff.
Totally. Yes. So, Chris,
yes.
Let's look back to what you mentioned last episode. Where are you at with how you store and organize your bits and bobs of info on the web?
So, according to the last episode, I may have made mention that I'm a bit of a digital hoarder. I assemble and collect bits of articles and other types of media and such, and I just I haven't done a good job of organizing it and curating it.
Okay.
And so, being a tech, you're surrounded by the news all the time, and I want to keep up to speed because I want to be a relevant tech. And so when I see an article that I like, I often will save it into a mechanism or an online solution called Pocket. Mm-hmm. Pocket is
Love Pocket.
Is a nicely cross-platform, free, read it later service. And it can be on your Apple phone, your Android phone, your desktop PC or Mac, doesn't matter, your tablet. Basically, it'll eliminate all of the ads and all of the pictures from the article, which is very important to me because I hate distractions when I'm trying to research something. I want to zone in on actually what the article is all about. And I can save it for later, so when I'm scanning news, I can dedicate time later for when I'm not going 100 miles an hour at work. I can take the time and read about this and learn more. Pockets, it's getpocket.com to check it out. And once I have it established in Pocket, when I dedicate that time, I'll figure out that one paragraph or the couple sentences where I want to save that for later because I need to retain information or I need to be able to recall information at a future time. And so I use a product called Evernote. We talked about that before. And so I have an Evernote section. It's a notebook. that I just store all of my reference data from these articles, and I can either write about it, or I can talk to my clients about it, or just enjoy it and recall it for later. So that's currently where I'm at right now. Of course, the day may change, and I've used Instapaper, I've used Readability for Read It Later.
I was just going to ask.
Exactly. As a tech, you got to be able to try these things out to advise your clients, because your clients, or the people that you are working for, serving, aren't exactly like you,
Sure.
Or me in this case. And my opinions and my workflow is completely different from someone that may have an adversarial view of technology. And to be able to see, this does this may appeal to this person, when they say kind of comment, I can reflect back on that and choose the right path for them. At least for me, I'm using Pocket to Evernote, but Instapaper is a really great service, free, stripped down, black and white, here's the text, and tagging and other things for organization. I just like the kind of color user interface of Pocket at this point. And the week may change, my interest may change, but in the meantime, that's how I'm rolling right now. So
that's cool. No, I use Pocket for actually. What was the name of Pocket before it was Pocket?
I think it was Read It Later.
Read It Later.
Read It Later, yeah. For those of you playing at home, we have been around a while. And, to get a little bit more marketable, Read It Later is a little catch-all. I think it had a yellow logo back then.
Oh, now you're trumping me on that one. I don't remember that.
I'm not a competitive fella so much, but anyway, they've done great work.
No, and I do like Pocket, and also like it integrates in a lot of things. Like on mobile, especially, like you can send it to, just like you can send something to Evernote, you can send it to Pocket and stuff. The thing that so I'm going to contrast you a little bit, because
contrast away.
I was the same way for the longest time. I wanted to keep these resources and stuff, and I would stow it in my Pocket or Read It Later at the time. And what I would do is I'd also do something similar, use Evernote to shoot off like the headline or the quotes bits that I wanted to keep, and then I'd just have a running document of like, if I wanted to see, I don't know, Patek Philippe's 55.99 movement, put these links in there. And I got to the point where I just stopped. I just gave it up. I just cold turkey stopped doing it. And you know what's funny? I haven't really missed it.
You haven't had a need to recall that information before. Interesting.
So I shifted gears, and this was about 2 years ago. I shifted gears, and I was using a different product called Pulse.me. And Pulse got bought by this wonderful company that we know as LinkedIn.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
Yes. And so they purchased LinkedIn, and everybody was thinking, well, this was smart of them. Basically they're getting an aggregator service. Perhaps they'll try to roll that into LinkedIn so that the news, because that's the big thing, right? We're in what's called, quote, an attention economy. All these apps and services are vying for our attention, and that's how these companies are making their money. And so they were thinking, okay, maybe LinkedIn's, getting ahead of the curve, because Facebook and Twitter typically dominate that area.
They want to play too.
Exactly. Unfortunately, they did what most other companies do, and they shuttered it as of about 3 weeks ago.
That's the growing trend for many good products and solutions out there. They get killed by a company that buys them. It's a very disturbing trend.
It is.
Not a fan.
No, not a fan either. But the reason why I gravitated away from Read It Later to Pulse was because it's, as you call it, the TV dinner effect. You have these tiles with the featured graphic of the article.
Yeah.
And you can see the headline and such. And the reason why I went to that is I would read it, I'd gather what I needed, I'd log it in my own brain, and then move on. I just kind of turned and burned things, as opposed to like turn and burn and agonize and try to figure out where am I going to store this? How am I going to... I spent more brain cells trying to remember how I organize things in my Evernote and Pocket than I did actually if I just read it and kind of reflected on it.
So now you make me feel bad, because now you're describing my process.
No. It was again, I had to I flipped a switch and I just stopped. I used that product, and now that product shuttered. And so now, 2 years later, I'm in a tizzy, because now what do I do? I'm used to having an aggregator of my news. I hate going to every site that I want to get this information.
But the advantage of today's technology landscape, for those that don't want to save their information for later, we've got the Google and we've got keyword search. And so this is an advantage. If you want to talk about Zune and talk about when was Zune around, Zune, if you're doing like a history report, you have this. All of the tech companies save their articles online,
yes,
which is a helpful thing.
Well, for the time being, anyway. But the thing is, the best way I can equate my ideology to this is the concept of inbox zero, okay? Which I do not practice with my email.
It's a struggle.
It's impossible for people like us because we have to refer to different clients and different tickets and different, like, there's a whole lineage, as it were, to a tech problem. As opposed to, for instance, news, I see it very different because a headline is going to be pertinent today. It might be pertinent this week, but beyond that, whatever. And so I shifted gears and I used Feedly. And so now I'm using Feedly because it aggregates all the sites that I need to monitor. I see the headlines that I need to see. And when I see something that I need to keep, maybe I'll send it to Apple Notes because I'm kind of you're raising your eyebrow.
I raise my eyebrows. Apple Notes, I've dived into that too.
Largely because Apple's iCloud service, you can access it through a web portal. So I don't have to be on an Apple. 90% of the time of my work day and professional day, I am on a Mac. But I can access it through anything now. The rumor has it that the next iOS will have encrypted notes, which very much interests me.
Password protecting notes is very important as opposed to plain text search. I'll go on a rant on Evernote later for not being able to password or protect or encrypt information.
Well, I mean, I'll play devil's advocate to Evernote. The reason why I do like the Evernote ecosystem is two-factor authentication.
That helps out, but once you're there, if you're doing a search in front of a client, that's a problem.
That's a problem. Exactly. And so I'm teasing the waters of Apple Notes. And so I'll keep things like, for instance, a brand of a watch that I need to look up. Nomos, which is a German company for a watch. Or, that's typically how I'm doing my note taking now is I'll read articles and the snippets that I need to keep, quote unquote, are things I need to Google search and find out more about. And I'm not going to do it right then and there because I'm more interested about that writer's article than having to go down the rabbit trail and waste time. So it's more of, for me, it's a bookmark of a checklist, as it were. Oh, I need to look up this because I need to have more understanding about it. And once I do, the inbox zero effect takes place. I try to knock out all these things that I've looked at, I need to research, and then I move on.
Could I offer a devil's advocate for your inbox zero and the struggle that we all have with keeping a clean inbox? I've tried a method, and I ripped it off from David Sparks at macsparky.com.
Ah, that's who he is. Okay.
And so everything comes in the inbox. You either reply to it or you take an action item on it, kind of GTD style, but you create another folder called archive. It's very similar to the Gmail archive function, but I just drag it to the archive. It's out of my inbox. If I need to refer to it later or search for it, it's there. And so it's not really, I'm not deleting it. I'm just putting it away out of my vision, my current focus. So far, that's worked for me because I can only see what's in my inbox now, but I can also refer to the archive bucket if I need to search for all of my 2013 emails on a particular topic.
That's interesting. See, I could probably try that. I don't think it would sit well with me because if it's out of sight, for me, it's out of mind. That's the problem with
totally
me.
Understandable.
So, but again, going back to our original topic of we get into this routine of, oh, there's good information. I need to keep that somehow. It's the thing. That's the thing is that if I read something, I want to learn it and assimilate it into my brain, as opposed to having this encyclopedia. When's the last time you've had an actual printed encyclopedia in your house?
That would probably be back when I was in freshman in high school.
Bingo. And so that's why I feel like, especially with our data hoarding, I feel like we've become like, oh, we got to hang on to our encyclopedias. It might become, something important someday. No, it never happens.
Understandable.
We take it down to Goodwill. And so that's what I'm proposing is looking at our data, trying to keep what you need, the music libraries, the video libraries, those type of things. But as for data, learn it and spend the time to read those articles to learn it, and then assimilate it into your brain. If you need to keep snippets, keep a note of the things that you need to work on yourself, kind of a thing. It could be simple as a checklist. It's like, oh, I need to learn about, I don't know, Swiss movements, whatever. That way you're looking at topical things, not necessarily that one article. That's my 2 cents on that matter.
I think as we progress on this podcast, I want to talk about the cool spots in Bellingham by exit.
Okay, let's do it.
I-5 exit. And so the first exit, once you enter Bellingham, is exit 250. And that was Old Fairhaven Parkway. And if you go down Old Fairhaven Parkway, just take the road down. There's going to be a place that's been there for a generation. It's one of my favorite places to go. It's Village Books, and they've been around since 1980. And there's a great interview with Chuck and Dee Robinson at Walk and Talk. Stacy Sledge did a great interview with Chuck about the history of that. Village Green is this wonderful area where they have outdoor movies in the summertime. If you're not familiar with Bellingham, they plenty of social community activity events. It used to be a dirt lot back when Village Books first moved there. But Chuck Robinson, who's the owner of Village Books, he's one of the founders of a movement in Bellingham called Think Local and Buy Local. It's a campaign that's part of Bellingham's Sustainable Connections, which now, fast forward a generation, has over 400 businesses as members. So this is a big community movement. Love the environment. They actually know how to curate a bookstore experience as opposed to what I
described last episode.
Was what I described last episode. Wonderful music in a nice decibel level. A great selection of books. There are recommendations by the staff, which are actually relevant. And upstairs, great cafe overlooking the Village Green. That's where I go to just kind of exist, to be. I love the Book Fair Cafe up on the third floor of Village Books. And that area really is it's the elements of a brick and mortar store that really appeal to me. And so I at least wanted to give a shout out to Village Books. It's one of the best places in Bellingham to spend an afternoon and to patronize, to buy a book and have some analog physical reading time. So that's
no argument out of me.
That's at least for my exit 250. That's a stop that I always go to.
I love it.
So we also got some listener voicemail.
Yeah, right.
So our first voicemail, AJ, why don't you play that and let's answer it.
Hey guys, this is Dan calling from the Western Pacific in beautiful Singapore. I want to say the show's coming along great, and I really enjoy what you're building there. Saying that, I've got two quick questions for you. Came here on patrol with the Navy. I'm originally out of Yokosuka, Japan, and I found that hunting for Wi-Fi is one of the first things I do in each and every port that I visit. A bit sad, I know, but with today's technology essentially requiring a connection in order to be useful, it kind of is what it is. What options have you seen that allow global cellular Wi-Fi connectivity for someone who travels, again, globally? Absent that, what about non-connected apps? I use an iPad Pro for a daily driver while on Liberty. The laptop just ends up being too big and too heavy. And I want a powerful photo editing app, in particular, that allows cataloging while not requiring any kind of connection, again, unless I want it. I normally use Lightroom mobile with Lightroom on my laptop itself with Creative Cloud, and that's great and all, but without a connection, ends up being more trouble than it's worth at times. Anyway, appreciate everything you guys are doing. Thank you much, and I absolutely love the show. You guys take care and sail safe.
So thank you, Danny, for being our first voicemail listener voicemail.
Yeah, thanks for the props. Much obliged.
First off, I want to say thanks to all of our men and women that are serving in the armed forces.
Absolutely.
Without you, we wouldn't have a show, honestly, because we wouldn't have freedom of speech. So thank you to all of our military personnel that are, and even veterans. Thank you so much for your service. So, Danny, as for your second question, what would be a good solution for, getting around Lightroom? Well, that's something I do pretty much every day because as much as I'm a tech, I'm not a huge fan of the Adobe products. I do use Lightroom, but I also use the non-Creative Cloud. So if you do have Lightroom, or if you do pay for Creative Cloud, an option might be to actually buy the actual Lightroom 6 license, or Lightroom 5, Lightroom 6 license. And that way you don't have to worry about what's called the heartbeat. If you're not familiar with the new Creative Cloud system, you have to check in online, quote unquote, or your computer has to check in every so often to make sure that you're a valid Creative Cloud user. And especially for servicemen, we've seen issues in the technology community because in the armed forces, you may be underway or you are unable to connect your personal device to a network connection. And so I might recommend, if you do want to use Lightroom, perhaps using the non-creative cloud edition. That's for computer, Mac or PC. If you're doing it for iPad, because you mentioned you had an iPad Pro, what I might recommend is doing a Dropbox solution. Just basically buying actual Dropbox. You get like 500 gigs or a terabyte or however much storage you need, and that way you can upload it up to Dropbox. You can access it on Mac or PC or Android or whatever, and then use a photo editing app on your iPad. I've got a couple of recommendations. Snapseed by Google, used to be Nick Software. It's great for iOS. Also, I would highly recommend Pixelmator, especially on that iPad Pro. That would give you Photoshop level effects that you could do, and Photoshop level power, easily accessible. And like I said, on that iPad Pro, it would be awesome. Do you want to hit on the global connection? Any recommendations, Chris?
Sure. I unfortunately haven't been able to go overseas too much, but if it's possible to find a global SIM card, depending on there's a few countries that you are visiting on a regular basis, to pick up a SIM card that you could pop in your phone, that can at least allow you a chance to get some data once you're around cell towers. But there are a couple hotspots that are little devices that can use mobile connections to be able to get you data. We'll put some in the show notes later on. But AJ, what do you think?
Well, there's a couple of things that I was thinking about. One is, while being overseas, I mean, I can't think of any Wi-Fi accessibility things other than, like you just mentioned, a global SIM. But one of the things I'd want to recommend to all service personnel while serving abroad is protecting their data while they do connect.
Oh, absolutely.
So, for instance, a VPN solution, and there's several of them. I mean, there's ZenMate, and there's Total VPN, and GetCloak, and these are all. I would say, Dan, that the more important thing is no matter how you connect, if you are not in the United States, especially because you are active duty, make sure that whatever connection you do hit, make sure you also have a VPN that can that will also cloak your data while you're overseas. So a combination of maybe a global SIM. There's also another mobile carrier, and I haven't done a lot of research in it yet, but I've heard of Defense Mobile.
Have not.
So Defense Mobile apparently is a MVNO, so a mobile virtual, I always mix this up, mobile virtualized network operator.
Good on you.
Kind of like Ting and Virgin Mobile. They're a carrier that doesn't have a brick and mortar. They piggyback off the backbone of the major networks, and apparently Defense Mobile is tailored towards active duty and service personnel in the armed forces. And apparently, it's if you have an unlocked phone, you use their service, and they piggyback on all of them at the same time.
Helpful.
I don't know if they do it internationally, but it was just something that was pinged on my radar.
Well, keep us posted, Danny, if you happen to try that out and it works out.
So, Chris, what's this thing in the feed that's going to be coming up probably next week? What's this IRL thing?
So, obviously, we talk tech and talk Bellingham on this BPM Tech, but sometimes we got to get a deep dive into a certain topic of technology because we need to chat more at length. And so this is a chance for us to speak exclusively solely on a particular topic of what we use in real life, IRL. And so we're going to be talking about various aspects. I want to talk about security, just like we were talking about with VPNs and passwords and methodologies to make you safer online and when you're out in public and such. We're going to talk about technology for students, especially for how to take notes and keep your notes and make your papers easier to bust out and collaborate with classmates on projects and such, whatever topics. By the way, for those of y'all that would like us to talk about a particular technology topic in depth, we have a voicemail number.
Woohoo!
Simon says, get on your phone, call area code 201-731-8324. That's 201-731-TECH.
Awesome, Chris. That was a sweet score.
Yeah, well, I know a guy who knows a guy. But leave us a voicemail asking us about something that you have stress with in your technology situation.
And if you can keep it under 90 seconds, that'd be great, just for editing in the show.
We won't keep it under 90 seconds, but at least your question. And please, if you'd be kind enough to ask us nicely, we like to get nice questions.
Yeah.
It helps matters out. It kind of enables us to want to help out.
Yeah.
So anyway, 201-731-8324 for listener voicemail. Ask us a question.
Yep. So I think that wraps it up for this edition, Chris.
Yeah, sounds good.
Where might somebody stalk you on the internet, seeing that you're not on the Facebook?
Yeah, I'm not on Facebook, but I'm at chrispowell.co. If you go to chrispowell.com, you'll get a best-selling author and life fitness coach and a TV star on ABC. Someday we might cross paths. I'm probably taller than him, but he's tanner and better looking. And also I have a little blog site called Lesson300, lesson300.com, and I'm on Twitter at Minimal Tech. But you could see that in our About page on our website. How about you, AJ?
You can find me at my website, ajbarse.com. Or you can find me on the Twitter or the Instagram. It's at AJ Barse, BARSE. Or if you're a fan of photography and you want to learn a few things, you can become a patron of my photography at patreon.com, patreon.com/AJ Barse.
And that'll do it. Thanks for tuning in. That wraps it up for this edition of BPM Tech. Thank you for joining us.
Be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes and SoundCloud, and also on Android. There's a whole bunch of links on the website if you are on Android, or visit us on the web at bellinghampodcast.com. I'm AJ Barse.
And I'm Chris Powell. We'll see you next time on BPM Tech.